Welcome again. We're back live, man. It's What's Good with Gil and Larry. I'm Larry. That's my man Gil. And I don't want to waste nobody's time. I just want to try and get into our show. Um, First and foremost, man, I want to just kind of jump into the college because we just had another shakeup in the college football. As you know, we just had a great rivalries went on with Ohio State and Michigan, and it came down to the last drive in that game. It was a great game. Um, but unfortunately, because of that game, Ohio State was knocked out of the top four. Me and you talked about our last show last week about if either Michigan or Ohio State were to lose that game, where would they fit at in the top four? I personally thought the Ohio State, with that loss, should have still been a top four team because of the resume. But I understand why they will bump up Florida State because Florida State won their game and they're undefeated. So it's hard to have an argument with an undefeated team, especially a Power Five undefeated team, because as we know in years past, as it has been undefeated teams that have not made the top four, but they have not been Power Five teams either. You know what I mean? Um, so the recap, the top four is once again Georgia, Michigan is the number two team. Washington is the number three team, and Florida State has worked their way back up to being the number fourth team. Unfortunately, Ohio State dropped to number six, and Oregon is number five. So, what's your opinion on the top four? Do you agree with the top four? And where do you see these teams finishing at the end of the season? Do you think that ranking will remain true now they're about to get into the conference championships? You know, that's going to shake a lot of things up too.
Well, the conference championships, yeah, I mean, you can underline that. That's going to shake up quite a bit. Certain scenarios, there are teams in the top four. Outside of Michigan, I think the other three teams are in serious jeopardy of not making the playoffs, and that includes Georgia. I'm including them. They can go from one to out.
That's
if they lose. What are they playing?
Alabama.
Alabama's playing pretty well as of late. And that's a pretty good rivalry the last few years between Alabama and Georgia.
Right.
Alabama comes to play, Georgia loses. I don't know what happens with them, but like I said, I think Michigan is the only one that's kind of safe because they're playing Iowa and they're clearly better than Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the top four. I understand that Florida State is still undefeated, but if you take the eye test, to me, Oregon is better and Ohio State is better. So I would not have Florida State at number four. Man, I tell you what, Oregon is playing Washington in a rematch this year, and Oregon's favored by a lot. Aren't they favored by like 9.5?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure
that's a lot. Crazy considering that Washington beat them earlier, but Oregon has been rolling, and Bo Nix now all of a sudden is making that Heisman push again. I got a wager with a guy at work. So we have two wagers going. Number one, he's taking Oregon to beat and cover against Washington. So I took Washington.
Yeah, I took the points.
That's different. Plus, they already played each other, so I think Washington will be able to keep it within 9.5.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, this guy said to me, if Bo Nix wins the Heisman, he's going to be the number one pick in the draft.
No,
that's what he said. That's what he said. I said no to that too. But the key is he has to win the Heisman, and this is going to be his best chance because it's the last game of the year before the playoffs. So they're going to name the Heisman before the actual playoffs. The next time that Oregon would play after Friday, because that's where Oregon and Washington are playing in Las Vegas on Friday. So Bo Nix making that last push. Penix. What's going to happen? You got two Heisman guys potentially going at it in a rematch, which you don't really get to see too often. Two good teams playing each other twice in the same, the same year. And there's a lot on the line for this. A lot. Washington might not make the playoffs if Oregon wins this game. Well, we said it earlier. If Alabama beats Georgia, does Georgia make it? And Florida State, Listen, like I said, I don't even think they're the fourth best team, and they're undefeated. I think the two teams below them that, I could even make an argument with Texas. I can make an argument that Texas is better than they are.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Florida State's going to play Louisville for the chip, so that's not going to be an easy game. Louisville is still playing good ball. And like you said, Bo Nix, far as him being the top pick, I still think even with the year Caleb Williams then had, I still think he's going to go number one. You know what I mean? Like, you can't blame him for the fact that this team does not have a good defense. He won a Heisman, man. Like, the guy is definitely a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. Has he been through adversity? Yeah. But then I could go back to Bo Nix when he played for Auburn. It's like, the dude been in college for 6 years. So not literally 6 years, but I'm just saying. The dude been in college for a while, man. He a grown man playing football, so he should be this good. He done seen whatever you're going to throw at him at the college level. But to say he's going to go number one, even if he wins the Heisman, number one, nah. And I don't think he's going to translate to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I just don't see it. Just like they said about May, going to Chicago, grab May. I didn't see anything that impressive for me to say, oh, he's going to be better than Fields. Only thing I could think of is the fact that maybe the old offensive coordinator might actually coach up to his skill set, whereas Justin Fields, and we'll get to that later because I have my own analysis about Justin Fields. But nah. It's gonna be an interesting week, man. This is what college football is all about right now, man. Like they say in football, any given Sunday, obviously it's not Sunday when it comes to college balls, but any given game, it could change the landscape of what's going on. Like you said, Alabama's playing real good football right now. I still think that Georgia their defense is still top notch. And Milroe is playing better. But I think that Georgia defense will find a way to stop him because, mostly they're using him as pretty much he's the top leading running back. He's like a running back and a quarterback at the same time. That's not going to work against Georgia. It's just not. They have a fast defense. So I still think they'll be cool. The Washington Warrior games will be interesting. 9.5, though, that's disrespectful. 9.5. Like it was a shootout the first game. It's going to be a shootout the second game. I think they probably put that spread that way because it's a neutral site. They played them in Washington the first game, but 9.5, like nah, I'm not buying that one. I still think Washington going to beat Oregon. Me personally, I still think that they have enough to beat them. This Bo Nix playing great ball, he is, but Penix Jr. He's still playing good football too. And Florida State against Louisville. With a backup quarterback, I'm not liking their chances, bro. Their defense going to have to really step up like they did the last game because their defense won in the last game. So I'm not counting them out, but it's going to be hard, especially in a chip going against Louisville. And like you said, I think Oregon is better than Florida State and definitely Ohio State. Unfortunately, it's a shame that they had to drop that far because of that loss.
Yeah, like I said before, I'm in agreement with you. The top four are the top four, but a couple games go awry. There could be a really big shakeup. What I don't think is going to happen. Here's what I say. I don't think what are the top four right now is what's going to be the top four a week from now. I think there'll at least be one change. I don't think it's going to stay like this. And the one that I think is going to be change for sure is Florida State. I don't think they're going to make the top four. I don't.
Now we got a bigger question, right? So now say Washington does beat Oregon, right? Florida State loses to Louisville. So that means Ohio State becomes your fourth team. About right. If it plays out that way.
Unless Alabama beats Georgia.
Ooh. So Michigan goes to 1.
Michigan will go to 1.
Washington beats Oregon. Washington goes 2. Right?
And then you have Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, because I don't see Georgia. I don't see him pitting Georgia in the top 4. So Alabama makes the 4th?
Alabama would be 4th. I think Alabama would take over
Yeah,
Florida
they
State.
would leapfrog Ohio State to be the 4th team?
Yeah. Strength of schedule. Yeah.
Wow, that'd be interesting. Saban, I count him out this year, so that would be that would be he would get more props as a coach for getting his team because I didn't see it happening, especially that loss they took to Texas. But if he can make his team a top 4 team and play for a national championship, kudos to that guy, man. Kudos to that guy.
I just think the committee just has to use their eyes. Don't go by so much record because you're either going to be undefeated or you're going to have one loss,
That's
right?
Yeah.
So just take the eye test. Who's playing the best right now and who won their conference game?
Yeah.
And I think Alabama beats Georgia. There is no other better victory that can happen this weekend.
Yeah.
From, I mean, Alabama's ranked 8th and Georgia's ranked 1st. I mean, we're talking about, Oregon and Washington. That's 3 and 5.
3 and 5.
Georgia and Alabama is 1 and 8. There would be no bigger victory this weekend than if Alabama were to beat Georgia.
And
if it's a tight game, I don't think Georgia falls out of the top 4, in my opinion. I think at worst they go from 1 to 4. At worst.
Yeah, I don't see them chopping up the top. Nah, I mean, it would be a crying shame if they did. It's gonna be an interesting weekend. Oh, it's gonna be an interesting weekend, man.
What if Florida State wins though?
If Florida State wins, then we are not having a big conversation, are we? So if Florida State wins their championship, they're not dropping out.
Are you sure? You sure?
I mean,
you sure?
I'm not. Yeah. If they just climb back in, right, and they don't lose, right? Who's going to put them out?
I'm just saying, what compare their signature win. I know they're undefeated, but compare their resume and their signature win to what, if Oregon wins, or if Alabama wins, they got 2 bigger signature wins than Florida State.
For the committee, they're going to look at it like, one, Florida State's undefeated. They won their conference. They just went from being out the 4 to being the 4th. Washington loses to Oregon. They're going to bump Florida State up. They're going to bump them up to even the 3rd. And then you got Oregon's going to make you 4. And if Alabama happens to beat Georgia, that's where it's going to get funny. It's the Georgia. The Georgia game is going to kind of be the finicky positioning right there. But if Georgia wins out, obviously Michigan is going to win. They're not losing on Iowa. And then once if Oregon beats Washington, then Oregon's going to drop to that 4th spot, and then they're going to bump Florida State up to 3.
All right. Well, let's just go chalk then. Let's go how it looks like it's going to go. Let's assume Georgia wins. It's a tight one, but they win. Let's assume Michigan wins because they're just better than Iowa. Iowa has good defense, but I think they got probably the easiest game out of the 4 that are ranked 1 through 4 right now. Let's assume Washington. Let me think for a minute.
They lose Oregon.
Okay. So Oregon is favored by 9.5. Let's just assume Oregon wins then. Okay. Florida State wins. Does Oregon get into the top? They get into the top 4, but then does that mean Washington is out or Florida State is out?
It's going to be Washington.
So Washington losing this last game. Having 1 loss.
Yeah.
And what do you think? You think Oregon goes to 3? You think they swap?
Oregon goes to 4. Oregon goes to 4. They're not going to.
Florida State goes to 3.
Florida State goes to 3 only because one, they're undefeated and they won their conference championship. That's the reason why. Because it'd be crazy for you to say, okay, even though Oregon's strength of schedule was stronger because the Pac-12 was a stronger conference this year, it's still they have that one loss. So, committee-wise, you cannot justify pitting them at the 3 spot and Florida State's undefeated.
What about if Alabama beats Georgia?
Now that's where it gets tricky, brother. All I can know is that Michigan will be number 1. I can tell you that much.
Yep.
Michigan be number 1. I can tell you that much. And it will get funny after that because I honestly don't know how they're going to do it. Is Florida State the second best team? No, but more likely they would be if Georgia loses, right? And if Washington loses, they're going to be the second best team. We don't agree that they're the second best, but they will be. And then now you've got the question of 3 and 4. Oregon's going to bump up. Obviously, they're going to be your 4th team, possibly even your 3rd team, right? Mm-hmm. So the question is, does Alabama leapfrog Ohio State? And then you got Texas sitting at the 7th spot. So say Texas.
What do you do with Georgia? Does Georgia go from
down?
Do they go from 1 to out? Do they go from 1 to out?
I mean, that's the one, man. Because do they jump to 5? And then you bring Alabama up to 4? Once again, you got Texas, because Texas win their conference. They're at the 7th spot. So I don't see Alabama leapfrogging Texas. If Texas went up.
Texas, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Exactly. So you still got to consider Texas. Texas might leapfrog and jump up to that 4th spot. That could be more. That could be. Because think about it. They beat Alabama. Alabama beats Georgia. That's if Georgia falls out of that 4th spot into that 5th spot.
Texas is a big favorite over Oklahoma State, though.
Yeah,
so I don't know that they're. I mean, they're going to have to win. So it's a 15-point spread. They're going to have to win by at least 3 touchdowns to go from 7 to try and get in the top 4.
That's a fact.
They're going to need help. They're going to need.
I personally don't think that it's going to be that much of a shakeup in the 4. I think that Georgia's going to be solid. I think they'll be Alabama. I think that obviously Michigan is going to be at the 2 spot. Only questions I have, really, me and you in agreement, is just that the 3 and 4 spot. Florida State controls their destiny. If they win, they're in. Same as Washington. If they win, they're in. We don't have this conversation. I think Washington's going to have of all the teams we're talking about. I think Washington probably had the hardest game. Not saying Alabama and Georgia's not going to be a hard game, but I just think that Georgia is just that much better than Alabama. I think they are. They really are, because Alabama, the quarterback, he's not killing you with his arm, he's killing you with his legs. You're not going to be running that ball against Georgia. Not like that, not with the quarterback. I promise you they're not, So I'm not really worried about Georgia, that game, too much. And they got playmakers also. It's that Washington game, man. I wonder how in the world are they 9.5 point? Is somebody injured? It got to be injury. No injury? 9.5?
Both quarterbacks are playing. I know Oregon has played better as of late, but 9.5. Well, and it's a neutral site. It's not like it's going to be in Oregon. Right. In a rematch. It's going to be in Vegas. 9.5.
That's a lot. But maybe they're telling me maybe it's something that it gotta be. Maybe it's somebody's injured. That's a significant part of what Washington got going on, man. Because that don't make no sense to me. 9.5, and that's
gonna be pretty significant.
It gotta be. It gotta be injured that I gotta look at and do some research to find out who's not playing. Is it a receiver? Is somebody? I know it's not a defensive player because they don't. It's not going to be a defensive game, so it's not that. It got to be an offensive player. Maybe all linemen's out. Maybe one of their top receivers is out. Because 9.5 is a lot, man, for a championship game. When one team is has beaten this other team, So, all right. Well,
so that on Friday. So people know, not Saturday. Friday, 8 o'clock, Oregon, Washington.
I'll be watching that game, Jack.
Yeah, that's going to
be a shootout. That's going to be a shootout, Jack. It's going to be a shootout.
Got the two Heisman hopefuls, Penix and so see how that goes. And then, the other games on Saturday, the standout ones is Oklahoma State and
Mhm.
Texas. Just talked about that. Georgia, Alabama. Alabama's getting 6 points. Louisville, Florida State, and Michigan, Iowa. Iowa's getting 22 points.
Whew, that's
That's a
disrespectful.
lot. That's a
What?
lot.
That's a lot. And for a championship game, man,
22 points. That's more than 3 touchdowns.
that's crazy. And then Harbaugh's back, so
Yeah, he's
they
back.
might turn up that game, bro. They might beat them by 30. They might make a statement.
I just feel like there was so much with them having to beat Ohio State,
Yeah,
and there isn't a gap to recover. Like they got to play again the very next week.
yeah.
Um, I could just see Michigan
Like,
not being as sharp. They
man,
know they're playing a team that they are superior in, but they played that like that a couple weeks ago against
Maryland.
Maryland,
Yeah, Maryland.
and they didn't overly impress like I thought they
Right.
would. So
It could be
I
an
mean, I'll
inflated
tell you
number.
what,
I mean, for the
I would
points,
I
I
would
would
I would
take.
take Iowa with the points.
Yeah, I'll take out with the points. That's 22 points. Like in a championship game, you give me the
Yeah,
points. You know,
yeah.
you said it wasn't like it was a Michigan been dominating any team, so I take them 22 all day long. And with the Alabama game, I'm going with Georgia with the 6. I'm not comfortable with taking 6 for Alabama. Even though Alabama playing good football, they could possibly get blown out in the championship game, bro. Like seriously, it could be
Mm,
ugly. And 9.5, Washington. I just don't believe they're going to get beat by no 9.5, man. Just give me Washington with the points. Maybe Vegas know somehow, I don't know, and it could be a blowout Oregon. But
uh-huh.
that'd be a heck of a game to have your worst game at the champ. Yeah, we didn't see it happen though. You have your worst game in the championship.
Yep. That'd be
Bottom of
something.
the line. It's more pressure on Washington side than it is on Oregon side. So that might be a factor too. Pressure, man, either gonna make diamonds or it's gonna bust pipes, what's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
You see what happened to Colorado. And then McDonald's, it bust pipes and they've been leaking ever since then.
It looks like they're losing their offense coordinator. I think he got a head coaching job.
Oh, did he?
Colorado. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he sure did. He sure did. And then there's been some shakeup about some of the recruits, man. One of the quarterbacks said he's not going. He jumped out of his commitment to Colorado. Said he's going to try, his hand up, to see where he can land at.
No.
You know how it go, man.
What's he entering the portal?
Well, he's not. He's in high school, so
Oh,
he's gonna take back his commitment because he gave him a verbal commitment.
decommit.
He's decommitting, yeah. You know how I go, man. You know how I go. He probably came in when they was winning a couple games, the height, all the celebrities and the college place to be. It's a lot for a kid to take in. You come in, yeah, you're gonna be part of this culture, and then reality hits, and then you see like, hold up, maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe I got caught up in Lil Wayne performing. I don't know. Let's slow back. Let me fall back. Play my options, okay? You can't blame a kid for that. You know what I mean? It's a work in progress, man. In Colorado, it's going to be a work in progress. I think it was a humbling experience this year, and I think once he get the players he's going to need for his program, that they'll see a jump, and then they're going to they're going big. Is it Big 12? I know they're not. They're
The-
Big 12.
I don't know where Colorado is going because every team did not get selected to go to another conference, but I know Oregon. I believe Oregon, UC, USC. I can't remember. It's like 4 teams are going to the Big Ten.
Big 10.
Big Ten.
I don't think Colorado. I thought Colorado was going to.
There's still. I think they said there's still going to be 4 teams left in the Pac-12.
4.
4. Yeah.
Man, you can have 4 teams and still have a conference.
Good luck making that schedule.
You right about that, man. There's gonna be a lot of non-conference games popping off, man.
Yeah.
It's like you might as well consider them like Notre Dame was, independent.
The conferences are going to look different, and the playoffs are going to be different next year because they're going to have 12 teams in next
12
year.
teams, right?
Yeah. So
But
we won't have to worry about this, what we're talking about now going into this last game. I mean, it's fun, but you feel like there's a couple teams here that are definitely deserving to have postseason aspirations, and it's
indeed,
not going to happen. Washington waited all year to make the top 4, and now if they lose this last game, I mean, they're going to be out.
yeah, man, it's a
There
heartbreaker.
ain't no way they're going to stay in there.
That's a heartbreaker, not be able to play for the national championship, and you played your best football all year. You was consistently good and climbing and scratching and doing what you had to do to get to the top 4. And then your final game, you get beat, and that's your season.
Yep.
You don't play for national championship. To me, it's like, yeah, you're going to a bowl, but it ain't the same as a national championship.
No.
So it's a disappointing year.
It's not the same money wise either.
Nah,
You're not going to get as much money going to the Sun Bowl as you would, the Fiesta.
it's a fact.
For example. Yeah. I mean, so.
So moving
All right.
on, man. It was a big wrestling event that went down, man.
Woo, was it?
Big wrestling event that went down, man.
Was it?
Yes, sir.
That's right. Survivor Series War Games happened over the weekend, and we had the return of not 1, not 2, but 3 stars came back. 3 of them.
Indeed.
3 of them. We had R-Truth, who I love. He's good for the kids, and he's good for me. We had Randy Orton, which we thought was going to be the big one, because he entered with like 10 minutes left in that last match, and he looked awesome. He looked
real good.
He looked real good. He was gone for a year and a half with that spinal infusion surgery that he. There was talk he might not be able to come back.
Yeah.
Now he's got a shot to break Ric Flair's record with the 16 world titles. He's at 14 right now. He's at 14. John Cena is at 16, but Cena's not gonna.
No.
He's not gonna compete full time where he's gonna get a shot at that. Randy Orton's got a shot. He's got a shot, and of course,
my man,
the big one.
My man.
Well, at the end, just when the match was over, music dropped. Cult of Personality, CM Punk.
Yes, sir.
CM Punk started walking down that aisle.
Look.
And then he sat down.
Yeah.
Said it was clobbering time.
Yeah.
And they went off the air, and you're like, whoa. And then you see later on, they show the reaction of Seth Rollins, who was none too happy. And they showed the reaction of Drew McIntyre. Again, none too happy. So there's a few people who are not particularly happy that Chick Magnet Punk has made his way back to
10 years. 10 years.
Yeah, almost 10 years. He left in 2014.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
And it was him and Triple H, and him against the establishment, and him against the
it's been a ride for 10 years. He tried it in the UFC. That was a disaster. Got his rear end beat twice.
Yeah.
The whole time he's like, "Oh, I'm done with wrestling." And then he joins this WWE show that's on after like a Raw or SmackDown. So he was like talking about certain matches, certain guys. He didn't do that very long. And then he joined AEW, and they're like, "Oh, he's back wrestling." But usual, he ruffles feathers, and guys don't want to give up their spot.
Yeah.
So he had a couple of altercations and eventually got released. And a couple months later, he is back on the biggest show. And WWE right now is white hot.
It is.
You could argue they've never been hotter than what they are right now.
Yeah.
Never.
You probably going to get probably the Attitude Era. when you had some prime, like
Mhm.
Austin, Rock, and you had
Mhm.
them acts, Undertaker, and all them.
Yep.
But like you said, man, it's a new era. It's a new era in sports, period. Because I want to get it's kind of piggy. It's kind of leading my segment towards boxing's had a big shakeup, and I wanted to talk about that real quick because the world is changing, man. And if you're not going to get with the times, man, you're going to get left by them, straight up and down. You know, and one thing about
100%.
WWE, they're going to make the adjustments. I love the roster. I love the fact these females is really getting their play. I love the Judgment Day, what they got going on. I love the acts. It's like, yeah, yeah. It's like just like you get a combo, just that I say some of the attitude there, but you get some of like the kid friendly stuff too. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I'm loving the way that WWE is putting on right now, for sure. If you are a wrestling fan, this is the best
Mhm.
time, in my opinion, to be watching wrestling. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, these guys that are, a bit out of shape for whatever reason. Hey, listen, man, if you ain't part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So, you want your star to shine, then shine it up. You
Indeed.
can't let somebody else, walk through the door and be like, oh, there goes my 15 minutes
There
every
you
weekend
go.
like that. No, you got to step up. You got to step up. If you're going to let a 40-year-old guy who's barely going to wrestle, he's going to have 7 minutes on the microphone. If you're bent out of shape about that, then that's on you, man. That's on you. I'm a Seth Rollins fan. He's a huge Chicago Bears fan. But listen, dude, you got to step up. You got the title. If you're going to let CM Punk show up at the very end of a pay-per-view to get you all bent out of shape, then you're insecure about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself. Because it sure as heck ain't bothering CM Punk that you're walking around with the title and you just won at the main event. It ain't bothering him. It ain't bothering him that he just got, practically fired 2 months ago. It ain't bothering him that he got his rear end beat in the UFC. That was a disaster. It ain't bothering him that nearly 10 years ago he was like, I am never coming back to this company again. I'm probably never going to wrestle again. I sure as heck am not coming back to this company. And lo and behold, you grow up, times change. Vince isn't in charge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who he had problems with, Triple H, is probably the biggest reason that he's back.
That's a
So,
fact.
you grow up, you evolve, and you put the past in the past. I
That's a
think
fact.
that's the best way to do it. I'm very excited. Man, I'm super excited about Royal Rumble when that comes around in
Oh,
January. That's going to be
oh,
fantastic. That's
oh.
going to be fantastic.
Who you,
I personally think that they should make a match for WrestleMania with CM Punk and
Seth?
Seth Rollins.
Oh, that'd be great.
But find a way to make
That'd
that
be
happen.
great. That'd be a great match.
It'll be like
That'd be,
Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart all over again.
oh,
Two guys that really didn't like each other,
yeah,
but they're huge names.
yeah. And
Have them,
great in-ring performers on top of
yeah.
that. So it's
And you
not like
really didn't know who was going to win because you figured the one guy wasn't going to put the other guy over.
it's a
He
fact.
wasn't going to do it.
Until as you know history, the
Yep.
screw job.
We know about the
we,
Montreal screw job.
we knew about the screw job.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Hey, you can't blame
So,
them, right? You ain't taking them belts over there. You ain't taking them belts to WCW, man.
yeah.
So
That's funny that you say that
that's what
because
it
I'm a
said.
huge Bret Hart fan.
Oh, for sure.
Huge Bret Hart
For
fan. And
sure.
I preferred Bret Hart over Shawn Michaels in
I
that
believe you.
rivalry. But I got to say, Bret Hart chose to leave.
That's a
He
fact.
chose to turn down the contract that Vince McMahon offered him. He chose to take the extra $1.5 million to go to WCW. You can't leave and not drop the title. You
Yeah.
can't do that. Why?
So
Because you're in Montreal, because it's in your backyard. You still put on a great match.
So you forced his hand, in my opinion. You forced his
Yeah,
hand.
you did.
Like you
You
really
did.
did. Like
What
you're
was
not
he
going to drop
supposed
the
to
match.
do?
So I'm supposed to let you win and take the belts to WCW with you. Come on, who's doing that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, and then
You saw
years later, but he
you saw
cried about it
what
for 40
Medusa did,
years,
right?
bro.
You saw what Alundra Blaze / Medusa did. She
Mhm.
took her title to WCW and dropped it in the trash can.
Yup.
You can't let that happen.
You don't have to happen. And then
100% can't let that
and
happen.
then you cried for 30 years. You
Yeah.
cried about it. Oh, they screwed me. They
Mhm.
screwed me. Every time you see an interview,
Mhm.
this is wham, wham, wham.
Yeah.
He put a
Yeah.
blemish on you as a wrestler to me because
Mhm.
I was the same arena with you, bro. I love Brett. The executioner. I mean, he was a perfect wrestler, man. Like
Mhm.
seriously. Um, and then for you to just cry about it for 30 years, like, come
Yep.
on, bro. They screwed me. They screwed me. No, you didn't want to acknowledge that. Yes, the company was turned out. Yes, you work hard to get to your shot. Yes, you didn't have a long reign. Yes, they saw that Shawn Michaels was the next thing coming, and you wasn't supporting it. So what you did, you made a business decision. Cool.
Mhm.
All right, since you made that business decision, you already know you got to lose a match to the
Mhm.
guys going to be carrying this company.
Mhm.
You didn't want to do it. So now what happened?
Mhm.
All right, soon as we get a chance, we're gonna tap you out.
Mhm.
Hey, that's what went down. You know,
Yeah.
that's what went down, man. You can't blame. If this is my company, I did the same damn thing. Excuse my language. I did the same thing. You're not gonna take my belts and over to my competitor. To
Mhm.
my competitor, man,
Mhm.
you're crazy. Okay, and I got the last saying this. Okay, you're daggone right.
And on top of it, he got away with a free punch. He punched Vince
He
McMahon in
put
the
that
face
yeah,
and
the
he
back
gets
there,
sued.
and he ain't sue him.
And he didn't sue him.
He ain't sue him. Like, come on.
Vince McMahon's doing an interview a week later with a black eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a real punch.
It was the real
It was a
punch.
real punch. He really assaulted
You
him.
you you could see he was wobbly when he got out of that locker room and he was in the hallway, which was great about this. And some people thought it was a work, but it wasn't. It was a shoot. It was for real. I'm using wrestling terms now. Sorry. Um, there was this A&E documentary being done, shot on Bret Hart at the same time. So this is all on film. This is
Mm.
all on footage. People can see this. They can see this on YouTube. It's not hearsay. You could
No,
see
no, it's
Bret
official.
Hart confronting Shawn Michaels in the locker room, saying,
Yep.
"Were you in on this?" You could see Bret Hart spitting from the ring down to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon had spit all over his face. You can see after he punched Vince McMahon, Vince coming out of the locker room all kind of, like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was good theater. It
It
really
was.
was, man. So bringing that to now, we can kind of have this now with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. If
Yeah.
they think about the business, they
Yeah.
think about what's best for business and how to make that
It,
money.
look,
You can run this for
it's,
6
it's a
months. You
great.
can do a storyline for six
I'm
months
about
with
to
it.
say it'll be a great storyline, and especially as Triple H is the content creator. Oh my goodness, I know he'll. Oh, and it's genuinely I dislike you genuinely, you know.
Mhm.
So it's a genuine dislikeness on probably both parties, you know.
Yeah, but be
So
professional though.
but yeah,
Be
we definitely
professional.
gotta be professional for
Have
sure.
have have CM Punk win the Royal Rumble. Have the
I was
belt
thinking
that he
that.
wants to challenge
I
for
was
be
thinking
Seth
that.
Rollins at WrestleMania. Have CM Punk win the title at WrestleMania. Have Seth Rollins in a rematch at SummerSlam get it back.
Well, that'd be a great storyline. Let's see if they actually do that. That'd be a great storyline. I'm
That's a
curious to see
lot of
if it goes that
that'll
way.
keep people invested for at least 8 months if they do that
Mm-hmm.
because SummerSlam isn't until August.
The thing about the great promo you gonna get out of this. Think of all the great cuts. Oh, think of all the great promo you gonna get out of this,
Yeah.
man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
And the
yes,
and
sir.
the real intentions coming out when they're really, like when Hulk Hogan is yelling at Vince McMahon and vice versa when Hulk Hogan came back and it got real on the mic. Oh, that'll be so great. That'll be so great. Like Hogan was telling Vince, I tried to protect you when with the steroid thing. I tried to protect you. And Vince was like, what? You made it worse for me. You made it worse for me. They aired it out right on live
Word.
television for everyone to see. CM Punk is great on the mic.
Oh,
Seth is pretty good
oh,
too. Seth will be better in the ring than CM Punk will at this juncture of his career.
yeah.
It'll be so good. So good. And maybe if you're thinking down the line a little bit, CM Punk is married to AJ Lee.
Yeah.
And she used to be a wrestler. And you know who Seth Rollins is married to? He's married to Becky Lynch. So
He is.
maybe they work an angle there too. Maybe, I'm just saying, there's possibilities here. There's possibilities. So Survivor Series, woo, Chicago was blowing up on that. Moving on from that, anything in the NBA
Oh
interest
man,
you at
well
all?
now we in the
Anything with the
now
tournament?
we're actually in the in tournament play where the last four teams for each conference has been decided. You got Boston, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and the last team I believe was New York. My Knicks made it right. So now they're going to Vegas to play the quarterfinals. And then on the west side is LA Lakers, Phoenix Suns, New Orleans Pelicans, and the Sacramento Kings, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Sacramento just beat Golden State
yeah,
yesterday.
they did. Yep, they sure did. Yep, by two. Yep. So that's your in tournament play. So I guess it gives the teams, like I said, that really I don't know. I guess it's because you got Milwaukee, Boston is really to me contenders for the chip. And on the West Coast side, only one I could say out that four that I could see really contending for the chip is Phoenix. You know what I mean? I mean, realistically, in a 7-game series, Phoenix. I don't see Sacramento. They'll probably come out the first round, but I don't see them coming out the second round. You know, and LA, they might be a seed. Be honest. The Lakers. You just seen they got blown out the other night by Philly. Philly beat them by like 44. LeBron ain't never took a L that bad. Once again, they're on the road, so they just came out flat. And Philly got Embiid's playing at a different level this year right now. Embiid is actually playing. If I'm gonna say MVP level, this is the year I can actually say he's playing like an MVP. Last year, I still would have given it to Joker. I think they cried too much for the 2-3 years. I think the year prior to that, Embiid should have been the MVP, but that's when Joker won it back to back. But this year, I have no argument about who's MVP in my book. Is Embiid because he is definitely the
Right.
most valuable player on this team right now, as we're speaking right now.
Right.
He's leading the league in scoring. He's playing like a big man, a dominant big man. He's not. I mean, he takes occasional threes, but not as many as in the past. Nick Nurse actually got him playing, and I think that whole James Harden thing kind of just actually helped him more than it hurt him
Oh,
because he's so
absolutely.
ripped. Yeah, I really do. I think he realized like this.
Absolutely.
We got this Maxey. Maxey has stepped up tremendously. So that's his Batman, that's his Robin. They got some glue players around them. It look like they're having fun. They don't have to worry about the controversy and all this extra stuff that's not basketball related that comes with James Harden because he's a selfish player. I'm not a fan of James Harden, bro. I'm just not. I'm a fan about basketball. I love the game. I love people that buy in, that are professionals. I love people that love to play the sport. And yes, you're going to get well compensated for the money, but I love the people that's about the game. Okay? I come from that cloth. I hate prima donnas, man. I don't like prima donnas. When I play ball, I can't stand playing with a prima donna. Those are guys that say, hey, why don't you pass me the ball? You shot it 40 times. And one time I take a shot, now you want to cry about it. That's James Harden. Okay? He doesn't make nobody better. You're not going to make him better. Yes, he will facilitate, so his assist numbers are up, but it's not like a Nash or a Stockton or a Jason Kidd. You can have inflated numbers. Westbrook had them. He had triple doubles, but their team wasn't better because of his triple doubles. He just had the stats. So it is a stat inflator. Then it is really assist that's going to actually help your team win the game. You know what I mean? So he will give you 10 assists, but his team still lose it. You know what I mean? So I'm not a fan of that guy. And I don't know why the Clippers pulled the trigger on that guy. I wouldn't have done it. Came in there and messed the chemistry up. They had some type of chemistry going on. They're still trying to figure it out. Come on, man. Come on. Like you got Kawhi Leonard, you got Paul George, you got two players, man, that actually could do something in the postseason, but you're still trying to figure out the rotation. You're trying to figure out this, you're trying to figure out that. It's too late in the game for all that to be figuring it out. So I'm definitely liking what Philly's doing. I'm curious to see who's going to win an in tournament series. If I was going to pick somebody right now, I would probably say Boston. I'll probably lean towards Boston. They're solid. They are a good team, strong team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they have an identity out in Boston. They're a hard out. They're hard out. If eye candy, I'm looking at the league right now. We talk about eye candy. Who I'm looking at the league, who I say is to me is clear favorites for the postseason, and who I think will be competing for a chip. If I'm looking at it right now, it's subject to change. This is right now. If you're going to give me out the East, my four out the East, Milwaukee, Boston for sure, Philly. I like what Philly got going on, especially when Kelly Oubre Jr. comes back. Yeah, and my fourth team would probably be who's the fourth best team out there in the East? It ain't the Knicks.
Miami.
They could. I would concede to say Miami right now. I'll say Miami. Yeah, because I can't see the Knicks. I can't see Cleveland. Cleveland got a good team. They like the Knicks to me. They're like kind of like the same type of team. Atlanta's the same type of team. I'm just talking about teams right now playing. Indiana, same type of thing. So yeah, I guess I'll say Miami. Yup. And then on the West Coast, you got Denver. I'm going to say Denver, especially when Jamal Murray comes back. When he comes back, Jamal Murray, Denver, Phoenix. They'll be a hard out. They still gotta get some more bench play people, but I like Phoenix. Minnesota's playing good ball now, but I don't know how long that's going to last. You know what I mean? So I can't pencil in them yet.
What about Dallas?
I like Dallas a lot. I actually like Dallas. Yeah, Dallas will be third because they're gonna be hard out, especially now that Kyrie and Luka is gelling. Yeah, and Luka's playing at that level. I think he's mentally. I think he's focused.
Both of them. Both of them.
They both. I think they're both focused. There's not too much side distractions. Definitely Dallas, and I would say Nutsack. Golden State old, man. It's I can't pin it in there.
Golden State got drama, man, and drama.
They got drama, man.
It doesn't work. You got Green again. You got Clay getting snippy.
Yeah,
saying that he doesn't care what people say. Yeah, you do. Or
you do. I mean, your game fell off. You fell off. You fell off. I mean, you fell off. I guess I'll say it's hard to say Sacramento, but I'll say I guess Dallas, Phoenix,
Sacramento over
Denver,
Minnesota.
Over Minnesota, yeah. Over Minnesota, yeah. If Minnesota could keep up how they're playing, then I would say Minnesota. Because right now Goldberg and Cat is playing like Cat. He's actually playing strong. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns is actually playing strong. Anthony Edwards, and they have a defensive team, which was the idea when you went and got Goldberg was the
Rudy
fact
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, my back, Gobert. That was the intent when you went and got him, was to have a defensive presence. So if they can maintain that, I would put Minnesota there because Minnesota's actually playing real good ball, man. Like they're hard out. They beat who they're supposed to beat. So that's my four right now. We speaking. Lakers gonna go where Anthony Davis goes, in my opinion. Not LeBron. LeBron's gonna be LeBron. It's Anthony Davis. It's gonna go Anthony Davis. And that's when I watched when they played Philly. He looked small to me, bro. I mean, he's a 4, so they didn't even have him go against Embiid. Embiid was going against Jackson Hayes.
Yeah.
they didn't match him up against Anthony Davis.
Mhm.
But he's kind of their center, but he's not their center. You know what I mean? But he don't match up against the centers. I mean, he did. He matched up against Joker, which was a mismatch because he ate him. But he didn't match up against Embiid, which was a clear mismatch because Embiid just would have dominated him. You can see him; he's clearly bigger than he is.
Yeah, and Embiid is playing, like you said before. He's playing I think he's playing his best ball right now.
I do too. I do too.
I mean, and we were saying how with James Harden, how like now they can breathe because he's not on the team and he doesn't bring that drama. But you also forget before Harden, it was Ben Simmons for a couple
years. You're right. You're right.
Ben Simmons didn't play for a year, and then the year before that refused to shoot and stuff like that. So this is the first time in 3 years where they're like, oh, we got the roster how we want the roster. Addition by subtraction. They got rid of the two drama queens, and it allows Maxey to be the number 2 guy, and nobody's complaining about minutes or shots or things like that. I really listen. I can't put Philly ahead of Boston or Milwaukee, but I think they are right there with those guys. I don't think there's a gap or anything like that. By the way, the in-season tournament, I got Milwaukee winning. I think Milwaukee's going to come out of the East, not Boston. I'm not sticking with that. I'm not saying that right now for the end of the season as far as the championship goes.
Right, but just now.
But I think for this in-season tournament, I like Milwaukee. I like the scoring that the two, Dame and Giannis, and out of the West, I like Phoenix. I like Phoenix out of the West. So I'm down with Phoenix and Milwaukee in the finals. I'm not really sure I'm ready to pick a winner as far as that goes, but I had to point out where we actually disagree a little bit because we agree on almost everything. Now, like I said, at the end of the year, I might lean towards Boston because I think they might have like the deeper roster.
Yeah.
But for right now, for how Milwaukee is playing with this in-season tournament, which they're down to, they're in the semifinals now. I really like Milwaukee's chances, and I think they got a really good chance to win it all as far as that tournament goes. Was there something about boxing you wanted to bring up?
Yes, sir. Before we get to the NFL, Showtime has canceled their contract with boxing. So it's the same thing that went down when HBO had the contract. They asked, I looked at YouTube and they asked some promoters what did they feel about it. Most of them was on the same accord. Yeah, a couple was kind of disgruntled. I thought Bernard Hopkins gave up the best. He represents Golden Boy. He's with Golden Boy Promotions, and he said, "Rest in peace, Showtime." So the guy was like, "So what do you think? If Bernard Hopkins, he's going to give you some left field stuff, but he makes it come back around." He said, "Curtis Mayfield." And for the people that don't know who Curtis Mayfield is, because the guy he was interviewing was a Spanish guy, so he didn't know who Curtis Mayfield was. Curtis Mayfield is actually a singer. He's a singer from the 70s. He made Shaft. I'm Your Pusher, that stuff, right? For the people that don't know who Curtis Mayfield is, okay? And he had a song called New World Order. And basically what he was saying, it was like, listen, it's time for you to put your big man drawers on and adapt with the times, we're in the streaming era. If that's what we're in right now. UK's been ahead of the curve when it comes to boxing, okay? Because they've been on streaming. Like, they got like 5 networks over UK, and that's why their boxers are doing well over there, because they already seen it coming before it came. Unfortunately, over America, we're dinosaurs in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to boxing, So when by Showtime canceling the contract, it just opened up the floodgates for what's already happening. It's just streaming. So for promoters, you just got to find what streaming site you're going to have to connect with to promote your fighter. That's it. You're going to get some legwork out there. Go out there, put the legwork in. That's what he basically was saying. He said you can't rely on just this source no more. Now for a promoter, you really gotta go out there and promote your fighters. You know, it's gonna make you or break you. It ain't gonna make or break anything but Showtime. This is gonna open up more opportunity. That's it. You know what I mean? And then over the weekend, there was a fight that went on. Benavidez fought Andrade, which you gotta sell fights. I get it. You know, the dude's talking good. You know, he wanted this fight. He came up Andrade rather. He came up from 154 to 168. This is his second fight at 168, and you're fighting the best guy in 168, right? So you know, they had to sell the fight. But you were clearly seeing like the Andrade's corner said, you know, once they after the weigh-in, after they all met 168 and you could rehydrate and get, you know, your natural weight, he was bigger, clearly bigger. So that power carries up. So he was good for the first 4 rounds, man. But when the 5th round kicked in and David Benavidez caught him with a shot, it was over after that. It was the beatdown. Because once he felt the power, it was over. And then they ended up stopping the fight in the 7th round. They stopped it. Like he wasn't fighting anymore. It was just a beatdown. He was beating the crap out the ball. You know. So the fight we want to see now is Canelo and Benavidez. Will that fight ever happen? I don't think it's going to happen. But that's the fight to be made at 168, Benavidez. You know, and also Jamal Charlo, not Jamal. Jamal fought Canelo, which Jamal was supposed to fight Canelo, but obviously they had to sell it because at the time he was dealing with mental. He had a 2-year layoff. He was dealing with mental issues. You know, he ended up winning in a unanimous decision. He beat Jose Benavidez Jr., which is, to me, once again, he's not his brother. You know, David Benavidez is clearly the better boxer. He's clearly a more focused boxer, and he has clearly more of the skill set, you know, and he's the younger brother, you know, but the older brother, I mean, for a guy to take 2 years off from boxing, bro, and for him to unanimously beat you, that tells you where your boxing skills is at. 2 years, you haven't stepped in the ring? That's unheard of, bro. Unanimously beat you? And it was unanimous decision. He unanimously beat him. The only reason he didn't knock him out because he ain't been in the ring in 2 years, right? So I want to keep the people that watch boxing that review. And then we got another fight that's going to happen this weekend. It's Paul Graves and David Haney. Devin Haney's about to fight Paul Graves, Regis Paul Graves. Regis Paul Graves is a 140-pound champion right now. So as we know, Devin Haney just stepped up to 140 to fight him. I think Devin Haney has more skills. I think Haney has way more skills than Progress has power. But if you don't have the skill set, the power really doesn't mean nothing. You can negate power with skills. And I think that Haney will probably end up winning that belt. And you know, so for the fight fans, there's a fight going on this weekend, and I recommend y'all watch. It'll probably be more of a Haney fight, more of a Progress fight. So it's going to be more of a skill set. You know, pick your shots, you know, defensive fight. And that's what I want to say about boxing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I know that the Zone carries.
Yeah.
It carried a lot of boxing. I think Canelo was involved.
Yeah, he was ambassador for the Zone. Indeed.
Golden Boy Promotions was involved with the Zone.
Indeed.
So, you know, the tea leaves have been out there for a while that streaming service is overtaking cable. You know, there's going to be a point in a not so distant future where you're not going to need cable because you can specifically see what you want to see on an app, on some kind of streaming service. The thing is that there's so many and they're so spread out. You know, it's $5.99 here, it's $11.99 here. You know, you can bundle it up and stuff like that. What I think is interesting is so in MMA, PFL bought Bellator, so that means that PFL and UFC both show their fights on ESPN and ESPN Plus. So I think it's kind of interesting that the two big MMA companies are going to be on the same network.
Mm.
They're going to have to negotiate where they don't overlap each other. Because I know, like Dana White, he loved putting on a card that went against a good boxing card or a good Bellator card. But now with the PFL, um, he's not really going to be able to do that. So now they're going to have to alternate kind of weekends unless UFC is going to plan to get away from ESPN, but they're not, again, unless they're going to go to some kind of streaming service other than ESPN Plus. I don't see where financially that will be beneficial to them. Dana White's just probably going to have to play nice with the competitor, and that's what they are. PFL is their competitor; it's their top competitor. They're still a distant second from what the UFC is, but they're there. And on ESPN, PFL is going to be promoted more than they would on any other sporting service when they were on like NBC Sports and stuff like that. Still, people weren't paying attention to them as much as they are now. And the fact that they bought Bellator and they're going to pick up a lot of those contracts, it's going to be pretty cool. So that's MMA news. I guess before we do our picks, I saw this thing on TV today, and they were doing top rivalries in sports. Top rivalries. So, first I was thinking, can I come up with 5 pro? That's hard. Can I come up with 5 college? That's hard. So, why don't we do our top 5 rivalries, and then we can have honorable mentions afterwards?
All right. For
Is that
me,
fair? So there's no pressure that it has to be 10, 5, and 5.
for
We
me,
do what we do 5, no matter what, college,
right.
pros, team sport, individual sport, if you want to do that. And just give me your top 5. There's no wrong answer. I'm just hoping that your 5 is a little different than my 5, because it doesn't make a good podcast if we agree on every single thing.
I mean, two great minds think alike, man. Unfortunately, we Aries, man. So unfortunately, you have an Aries mind, like I got an Aries mind.
Yeah.
People that didn't know, we Aries. So that's why we probably agree on a lot of things, because we see the things from the same perspective, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
our birthdays are like a week apart.
yes, literally. So that's why we gel well, America. If you was curious on why we agree so much, we got Aries brains. Sorry. Blame us for parents making us Aries. I don't know. But anyway.
And we're both from New Jersey, and we live in northern Delaware.
Exactly. So who's what the Quinky Dink? You know? For me, I would say my 5, definitely Duke, North Carolina. Definitely.
Okay.
College basketball, Duke, North Carolina is a huge rivalry. Football wise, we just had one. Ohio State, Michigan. Can't get around that one. That's a huge rivalry, bro. Football, Dallas. I hate the Eagles, but literally that's a rivalry with us. It's Eagles and Cowboys. It's not big for us more than Philly, because Philly, that's their Super Bowl. They play Dallas. We care less about the Eagles, be honest. But they made it a rivalry. Trying to think what else. Oh, Cleveland for sure. Whoever Baltimore, Cleveland. No, I'm for not Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. That's a huge rivalry, for sure, for sure. I mean, they're no longer living, but I would say Ali when he fought with Ali and Frazier. That was definitely
100%. 100%.
Make it around that one, bro. Yeah, definitely Ali Frazier. I'm not really. I know I'm not really a football, but I know there's some huge rivalries over there. I'm not privy to them, but I know some huge ones. I think United Manchester is one of them. But like I said, I don't really watch football like that. I'm trying to think, man. I know there's so many out here. Basketball, baseball, Yankees in Boston. Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, man. Yeah, definitely top one. Definitely top one. That's my five.
I agree. I agree with some. I think the one that
Oh, I
I
missed one.
don't agree with, as in top five. I don't think I would put. Well, there's two. I wouldn't put Dallas Philly, and you said why? Because it's not a rivalry for Dallas.
Yeah,
Because everybody gets the Philly and Dallas is just as big as Giants and Dallas,
yeah.
and
Oh,
and Washington and Dallas.
I got one. I'm gonna replace that one. Okay, let's just kick my brain. Boston Celtics, LA Lakers.
Yes,
Yes, that
absolutely.
definitely my top five
That's
right there,
that's
brother.
that's number one. For
Yes,
for me, Celtics Lakers number one,
yes.
Yankees Red Sox number two, Duke North Carolina number three.
Hmm.
Oh gosh. Number four, I'm gonna say Ohio State, Michigan in football. And number five, I think you touched on it. It's not team sport, but I think Ali Frazier. I think they gotta be number five.
You gotta
My
be.
honorable mentions, um, Dodgers Giants. That's
Yeah,
big.
yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, that is big.
That's big. It was big when they were both in New York, and it's big that they're both in
Fact. That's
California.
a fact.
That's
Now,
big.
now I'm not really a NASCAR guy, but
Hmm.
I know some rivalries in NASCAR
Hmm.
over the years. Um,
Yep.
I
Dale
know Jimmy
Earnhardt,
Johnson and Jeff
Rusty
Gordon was
Wallace.
one.
Well, who's that?
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, they were a rivalry, weren't they? When Jimmy Johnson.
They a little bit, but the thing with them is they were on the same team. They
Or
had the
were they?
same car, so they were, but they weren't.
Okay,
A real rivalry is when in NASCAR is when one guy's driving a Chevy, the other guy's driving a Ford,
got you.
and it's two other owners. It's Penske versus Hendrick.
Okay,
You know, the Wood brothers versus Childress. Things like that. So I would say in NASCAR, and there were a few, but I would say Richard Petty and Darrell Waltrip.
okay.
I would say Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Rusty Wallace,
Hmm.
or Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Bill Elliott. You know, those kind of guys. Different car makes, different owners. Their primes were about the same at the same time, pretty close. Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough. I mean, I'm talking 70s now. So getting back to I did my five. Another honorable mention, Oklahoma, Texas, the Red River rivalry.
Hmm.
That's huge. In college hockey, Wisconsin and Minnesota, huge, 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 huge. In NHL, two of the original six, Montreal and Boston,
Okay.
the Bruins. That was big. That was really big. It's not so much now, but
What
in
would
the
be what would be a
in the
rival now?
70s, that was huge.
What would be a
That was
rival
huge.
now? In this day and time, what would be considered a rival in NHL right now?
Flyers, Rangers
Yeah,
hate each
Flyer
other.
Rangers, but
Fly-
Devils and Rangers.
Devils, Rangers.
Devils Rangers. What about
Um,
Florida, Tampa Bay? Would they could be considered? I don't think they are considered rivalry though.
I
They
don't
just
think I
a
don't think
Florida
they
team.
really have a rival. I think
Yeah,
some of those Canadian teams like
Tor-
Edmonton, Toronto,
yeah, Ottawa.
Calgary, Montreal. All those Canadian teams don't like each other.
Yeah, they don't.
Vancouver, um, Ottawa. They don't like. A good one. The Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, that is a good one.
They don't like each other,
That's a good
and
one.
they went a while where they were like the two top.
Yeah, two top
teams in
dogs.
the early,
Right.
2000s.
That's a fact.
Yeah, when you had Hasek going up against Patrick Waugh
Hmm.
and stuff like that. That was pretty dope. So all right, so those are our rivals. Um, NFL.
Oh man, hold on. I got to talk about this, man. And as you know, Frank Reich got fired down there in the Colts.
Yep.
Um, in my
Not the Colts,
opinion,
Carolina. Carolina.
yeah, Carolina. I'm sorry, Carolina Panthers. You're right,
Colts
Carolina
were
Panthers.
last year. He got
Yeah,
fired from them
yeah.
last
I'm
year.
sorry that he got fired mid-season last
In
year.
mid-season.
Mid-season.
Mid-season too.
Yeah. So this is 2 years mid-season. This dude that got fired, man. And unfortunately, the Panthers. This is the second time a coach got fired mid-season. They just fired Matt Rule last year. So it's like for an owner, like as a potential candidate to want to coach that team, I wouldn't want to coach that team. I got an owner that's not willing to stick through the process. Okay, you drafted enough. Your team was bad, man. Your team was bad. Okay, you had the number one pick. That means your team was bad. What did you expect this coach to do in a year? What progress did you expect to see in a year? Honestly, like, come on, you had unreal expectations. Okay, and then it was like you said, it was chatter about they should have took Stroud, and that it was speculation that Frank Wright wanted Stroud, but the owner, being owner, wanted the Bryce Young, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now I have to deal with a player that I really didn't want as the number one pick, right? I have a roster that's not really a good roster, and I'm trying to figure out this roster, right? And then you fire me because we lose to, I guess his last game sealed it when they lost to Tennessee, which, hey man, it's hard to beat Tennessee in Tennessee. They're undefeated at home. They're not a good team, but they're undefeated at home, right? And you fired them because of that. Y'all lost by 7. It wasn't like they blew you out. It was a close game. It came down to the last drive. Okay. The quarterback's 5'8", bro. And he's not a big quarterback. Okay. You don't have a great O-line. He's been taking the most sacks. Okay. Your defense is okay at best. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay. Okay. These are pieces you have to work on. Okay. So for you to fire your coach because y'all are 1-10, what did you expect y'all to be? Honestly. Oh, I know what it is, to be honest. You're comparing CJ Stroud's success and what they got going on in Houston, right? And why we're not good. They have a rookie quarterback. He's a second pick. Why are they? It's a whole different situation. One, we have a defensive minded coach out there, and Houston defensively, they're going to take on the identity of their coach. Okay. 2, their O line is better. It was a decent O line before. Okay. And then what CJ Stroud is doing is you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to find that no rookie, bro. And he's seeing the field. They got a great line that's giving him enough time to see the field. Okay. He has playmakers around him. They got young playmakers around him. You know what I mean? They don't have no old heads like Adam Thielen and who the other guy they got out there in Carolina. I don't know. I know they're old. Okay. I know they're old. And Houston is a whole different situation, man. Whole different situation. And I know that the owner probably is going to be more willing to work with their coach, knowing that it is a work in progress. Everybody knows football, knows that. You know what I mean? So I think it was unfair for Frank Wright. And the Frank Wright, man, like he was getting older and older. He like the president out there, man. He aged, man, in like 10 games, like he aged every game. He's got older and older. You know what I mean? So for his case, I think it was unfair for him to get fired. I think teams need to build, you know. And then I wanted to get to your team. I want to get to Chicago. That's again it stood out.
Well, let me comment on
Go ahead. My Forrest. Go ahead.
Guess what? I agree. Absolute clown show. What's going on in Carolina? Clown show. Circus is in town. Clown show. Everybody, let's let them all in and watch. Do you know, including interim coaches, since this guy, David Tepper,
Yes,
who is the owner
yes.
of the Carolina Panthers, Do you know this is his sixth head coach since 2018? Sixth. And next year, he's going to have somebody else. He's going to have somebody else. He's not going to let the interim coach be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have somebody else. So he'll be on 7 starting this coming off season. Absolutely ridiculous. The guy made a lot of money on Wall Street, but that does not translate to the NFL. He needs to have an NFL guy in charge. Mm-hmm. What is David Tepper doing going to the pro day last year? What's he doing? What's he doing interviewing these quarterbacks,
right,
and then giving it? Hey, what games did you watch, Mr. Tepper? What games did you watch? Okay, how are you going to hear your coaching staff say they're leaning towards one guy, but because you like the interview with somebody else, you're like, I kind of like him. So now you force the pressure on them drafting the guy you wanted, and he doesn't work out, and you fire the other guy? That's what you do again and again and again and again. This is your 6th guy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Daniel Snyder was the worst owner in the NFL, but he gone now. I think David Tepper has taken the mantle for that.
For sure.
I think I put him ahead of Irsay, who's an idiot and ignorant. I put him ahead of Davis in L.A., not L.A., Las Vegas.
Yeah, Mark
he's
Davis.
He's another dummy.
He's loony. Yeah.
I mean, David Tepper, you're right. Why would you want to coach? Why would you want to coach knowing that he might not even give you a year? You knew your team. How did you not think your team was going to be bad? You had the number 1 pick. You had a quarterback who's shorter than I am by quite a bit, actually. And now you're not going to have a first-round pick. You would have the number 1 pick again, and you're not going to get it. You're not even going to have a first-round pick at all, unless your GM can work some magic. What a joke! What an embarrassment!
It is.
I think Roger Goodell and the NFL have to step in and have a little chitty chat with this guy, because he's embarrassing the league on what he's doing. I mean, it's like impulsive. It's impulsive.
It definitely
2 years in a row.
It's impulsive. It is.
It's 2 years in a row, you're going to fire a guy mid-season? What do you expect? You think you're going to turn it around now? Oh, now we're going to start winning, for the next 6 weeks. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. There are a lot of teams, unfortunately, that are not being run right, and my team might be one of them, so feel free to jump in with that. But Carolina right now today is number 1. They're number 1 in that. Congratulations. What a joke.
Definitely a joke. It's disgusting, man. When I heard that news, that's disgusting, bro. Like that's it's not fair to Frank Wright. David Tepper is a terrible owner, straight up. Like you said, 6 coaches, that's unheard of. So that means you give nobody a shot to try to build your team. It takes time to build a program. What are you comparing it to? I'm curious. Like, what are you comparing it to? Who are you comparing it to?
And think about this. Think about this irony. It's his 6th coach since 2018. You know that he was a minority owner before he became the majority owner in Carolina. He might even be the sole owner for all I know. He was the minority owner. Guess where? Guess. I'll give you one guess. Guess.
One guess?
I said irony. Guess where he was a minority owner?
Houston?
No. He was a minority owner in Pittsburgh.
Was he?
Pittsburgh, in the entirety of the organization, has had 3 coaches.
3.
Chuck Noll.
Yep.
Bill Cowher.
And Mike Thompson. That's a fact.
Mike Tomlin. 3 guys. He was a minority owner in that organization and clearly didn't learn anything.
Mm-mm.
Clearly. Because he's already had twice as many coaches in 5 years. as that organization has had in 60 years. However long Pittsburgh's been around. I don't even know. So, yeah. Congratulations, David Tepper.
Yes, sir.
Congrats. All right. So, getting back to last week before we do our picks, I know you got some things to say about my team.
I do.
And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be very complimentary. So, let's have it.
Yeah, I got to give it to you, man. I watched Justin Fields, and I know you a pro. I know me and you both have been definitely pro Justin Fields, and just give him time, build around him, blase, right? I watched that game against Minnesota, and mind you, Minnesota's quarterback situation is abysmal. Dobbs definitely lost his job, so whatever he thought he had is done. 4 interceptions, man. 4. You could give your a team a shot at all to win that game, right? And if it was anybody else, it would have been a blowout, okay? But it was y'all. And it took for y'all to kick a field goal for y'all to win that game with 4 turnovers. He gave y'all hand-wrapped presents. It's Christmas early, and y'all still ain't capitalized off of it, right? And I'm watching Justin Fields, man. I'm like, and I see the argument, the inconsistency, right? Certain play, he doesn't let certain plays develop, bro. Like I watched him and he's stretching, they got him rolling out and he's rolling, they're trying to set up the screen, but then the screen, it's a touch thing with screens. You got to kind of sell a screen, right? He's not selling the screens. He's holding the ball way too long. He's jumping the gun when it's time for, as soon as he feels just a little heat, he's gone. He's not. Certain passes should have been on point, man. I'm talking about you got this big window to throw the ball. Okay, I saw DJ Moore one time. If he hit DJ Moore in stride, bro, it's a touchdown all day long. But being the fact that DJ Moore had to stop, turn around, catch the ball, he stopped his momentum, let the defense catch up. There's stuff like that, man. You're not putting your receivers in position because you got stud receiver, man. DJ Moore's a stud, bro. If you put that ball there, he's going to make plays, okay? I just seen it, and I'm just like, I could see why I can hear the chirping about them wanting to move on from Justin Fields because at this point, and it's a combination, bro. It's coaching. Obviously, it's coaching. They're not putting them in a position to excel at his strength. But also, if they are, he's not taking advantage of being able to see the field, see what the defense is giving them, and make the plays that you need to make in order for your team to be successful. Because no way in hell that y'all should have made that game as close as it was when y'all got 4 presents gift wrapped. 4. Your opinions, my brother.
Ugh. Okay. Well, I agree with a lot with what you said, but let me talk about a couple other things first. Number one, I'm going to give Matt Eberflus credit. He called a very good defensive game. Mm-hmm. Very good. Defense came out, played extraordinary. Very good. Probably the best all year that they looked. They've had a few good games there now. Big ups to Ryan Poles for getting Sweat. He got another sack, so he's made his presence felt. So giving up that second round pick, it was a high draft pick, but it looks like they made out and got the good end of that deal by getting an established player who's still in his 20s, who's still going to be in his prime for a little while. So that's good. Now to get to the offense and Justin Fields in particular, but I feel like I constantly make excuses for him. So I'm going to start with one excuse. The play calling was not great. I get that Minnesota brings a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. They have a very good defense, and Flores likes the blitz a lot. But you've got to be able to have something else in your pocket other than a wide receiver screen. I think they called 15 wide receiver screens. You got little Darnell Mooney,
yes,
the lead blocker. At least if you're going to do that, have your big guys out there. Have Komet out there or something. Instead of doing these quick screens that worked, I think, twice. I think 2 out of the 15 actually worked out. What about, here's an idea. How about you max protect? How about you run the ball a little more than what you did? Because it's really a running offense. I get it that Foreman was out, but prior to a month ago, Foreman wasn't even in the rotation anymore. So you didn't run the ball very much to counter it. You became one-dimensional, and you kept calling the same play. It was wide receiver screen to the left, wide receiver screen to the left, wide receiver screen to the right. You know what I mean? Now, I get a Santos, who's a very good kicker, missed an early kick, so they should have had 3 more points for sure. But listen, the Bears won making 4 field goals, not scoring a touchdown, and they were gifted field position all night long with the turnovers, all night long. Defense did their job. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They gave up 1 touchdown. They gave up 10 points in total. Defense was great. Justin Fields at times holds the ball too long. Justin Fields, it becomes his instinct after a while to start running with the ball. Those 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter were solely his fault.
Indeed.
Him and him alone. Now, I can appreciate, in the last drive, he got him down there to set up for the game-winning field goal. I appreciate that. They never should have been in that situation. That first field goal, that first turnover, they were already in field goal range when he turned it over. And then the very next possession, he's running, and listen, man, it's always got to be high and tight. Always. When you're running with the ball, you always, I mean, listen to me, because I played. but I know that you can't wait to start to squeeze the ball when you get hit or you get tackled. When the ball's in your hand, you're always squeezing it. It's always tight. So the guy that you don't see coming, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, he didn't see this guy coming, and the ball came out, but it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Totally inexcusable, which is weird because last week in a game they lost, I'm like, this was a game in Fields' favor because he performed well. They just lost. And, he fumbled on the last possession, but prior to that, he was good all game. This game, he just could never get going, but he got that final drive to put them in position to win. So where do you go? Do you count this good in his pocket because they won? Do you count it bad because he was bad all game? Because, however you had it the week before, you got to flip it this week. If it was good for him 2 weeks ago, then it's bad for him this week. If it was bad for him 2 weeks ago because they lost because of that last possession, well, this week it's got to be good for him because he got them down the field and they won on that last drive. So what do you do? He's got, I think, 6 more games. They're on a bye this week. He is truly playing for his position to stay with Chicago, or if he moves on to be a franchise quarterback somewhere else. I mean, I hate to say it. I still want to stick to my guns and say I want to use those first 2 picks as weapons. I would love to work out a deal to move down a spot to get extra capital. I would love to New England to get the number 1 pick and the Bears be 2. I can't go to 3 because I think Arizona will take Marvin Harrison Jr. So I got to make sure I'm picking above them. But Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers from Georgia, the tight end. Listen, that would be 2 really good wide receivers, 2 really good tight ends. Now you got weapons. And you still run the ball. You go out there, you either draft. I would draft that kid from West Virginia, Frazier, Rich Frazier. I think that's his name. That's the guy that I would take. I don't, because they don't have a second rounder right now. They're going to have to work out something that they get, because I don't think he's going to fall to the 3rd round.
Right.
So I think they're going to have to do something to get extra draft capital to get a second rounder to get that guy. And then my offensive line is set. My receivers are set. They're probably going to lose Mooney in the offseason. I can live without him. He's okay. But they get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. They
Oh,
are way ahead with that. And I
that's a
told
fact.
you, I want the 5th-year option for Fields. I want to make sure that he had every opportunity here. I don't want what happened with Trubisky to happen again here.
Right.
And they need a different offensive coordinator. Getsy is not the guy. You
No.
want to keep Eberflus for one more year because the defense is coming around. Fine. You got to get another offensive coordinator. You got to get somebody that is going
Yeah,
to
because that play calling was trash, bro.
play to Fields' strengths, and you've got to be able to not just stick in a system. You've got to be able to evolve and go to plan B and C during the game. I mean, that was, I mentioned it already. This wide receiver screen, left, right. Max protect, dude. Max protect. You got tight ends. You could bring in an extra offensive lineman and make him eligible to be a receiver, and he could just stay in there and block. You could have a third tackle there. I mean, I don't get it. And to blame it to say, oh, let's try again with one of these other quarterbacks. There's nothing that these other guys, there's probably going to be 4 or 5 of them that are going to be, first round eligible. They're going to be rookies coming in. There's nothing that tells me that this guy next year as a rookie is going to be better than what Fields is going to be next year going into his 4th year.
That's a fact.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it. There's quarterbacks every year. They're not generational talents. They try and sell you on that crap. They're not. You know who's a generational talent? Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's who you should get. So I don't really have anything else to say about the Bears. Very disappointed. This is the first time that they've won that I've been disappointed. It's been a while. In the last 2 years, they've won 7 games. This is their 4th this year, and they won 3 last year. This is the first game in 2 years that they won that I'm like, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good at all. So it is what it is. They're a bad team.
Yeah.
They're a bad team. So I would love to get Jim Harbaugh up in here, but
And before we get to our picks,
it ain't Christmas every day.
Before we get to our picks, I got one thing I want to say before we get to our picks. And I as a picker, a better, I let my personal feelings get in the way of making a logical pick, and I had to criticize myself for it because I knew darn well I took the freaking Cardinals. And if you look at the history of the Rams with the Cardinals, the Rams own the Cardinals. And it was embarrassing what the Cardinals put on that field. They put one drive together, which was the first one. They scored 8 points, right? After that, the defense is terrible. The running back went for 153 on the ground, man. And Matt Stafford looked awesome in that game. They beat him. It was just bad, bro. It was terrible. So, once again, I was biased against the Rams because of when they played the Packers and then they got beat by the Packers. But now just not giving the Packers enough credit to say that Jordan Love has been playing great football of late. They're starting to get together. Matt LaFleur isn't a bad coach. It takes time. It takes time, especially with a young quarterback. But that's all I wanted to say. I didn't say that. Now I'm gonna think. Now when I make these picks, I'm picking with logic, not bias. Okay. So let's get to it, man.
Well, just to end it on that one. I went 11-5 last week.
You did
11-5. I'm just trying to make people money. I'm just trying to make you money. Okay. I'm just trying to make you money. I know you got your picks, but when you're filling out your little ticket, you should go check and see what Gilly Gill did. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to tell you, listen, Gilly Gill, you want some money? Hey, Gilly Gill, I'm gonna get you this week, though. Gilly Gill, I'm trying to tell him to get you this week. I'm gonna get you this week, Gilly.
All right. Well, let's get a crack-a-lackin', shall we?
Go.
All right. We got game number 1. The Los Angeles Chargers at 1:00 CBS against the New England Patriots. The line is 5.5. New England is a 5.5-point dog. They're getting 5.5 against the Chargers.
Oh man, you talking about Straley and that bum behind coaching job he does. Um, New England has no identity at this point. They really don't. They're lost. It don't matter who you put in, Zappy or Matt Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 5.5 for the Chargers. Chargers are not a team that. Oh my God, man, they're the hardest team to figure out, brother. They are one of the hardest teams to figure out, man. Eckler's not getting going this year. I don't like Straley as coach because he's just not a good coach. The defense is not playing good ball right now. But the England Patriots are who they are. So 5.5 is a lot for the Chargers to cover, in my opinion, even going to New England. But give me the Chargers.
You had me thinking you were going to pick New England there.
Yeah, I won't.
I'm picking Chargers too. Like you said, New England has no identity. They don't know who their quarterback is. How many times are you going to start Mac Jones and then bench him during a game? How many times does that happen?
He has no confidence.
For Zappy?
He has no confidence. Like you literally, like he looks like he has no confidence. Like whatever confidence he had coming out of college, it's not there. He just doesn't feel comfortable on the football field. He doesn't. You know, and it's Belichick. I blame Belichick in this dumb system. It's a dumb system. Straight up.
I think both coaches will not be coaching their teams next year. I think Belichick will be out at New England, and I definitely think Staley will be out with the Chargers. It's funny that an LA team playing New England in December. With the problems that they have, I'm going to pick the Chargers to not only win and cover that number. I think they're going to win that game.
What's the Thursday game?
5.5.
That's the Thursday game?
No, they're who's the Thursday game?
Oh, my boys, Cowboys, Seattle.
I forgot. I didn't look that game up.
Yeah, we are 9.5-point favorite over Seattle. We're home.
Seattle 9.5.
Yeah,
What do you think?
We playing great football right now. We are playing great football. It's hard to go against us at home right now, but we have been playing bottom feeders, bro. Seattle's on the bottom feeder, but they don't have K Walker either. So, and I think that's why our line is 9.5 because what San Fran did to them at home, and Gino. If you don't give them a run game, it's hard to go against Dallas if you're going to be one-dimensional. They have a defense that could be opportunistic, but the way that Mike McCarthy and them is actually calling right now is actually we're in a good rhythm right now. So it's a lot of points to lay, but I'm going to actually take the Cowboys with the 9.5.
I'm going to take the Cowboys too because unless they play those really good teams, other than Arizona, but that was a hiccup at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I think Dallas is going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to cover easy, actually. Yeah. So we're in agreement. We're in agreement there. Detroit at New Orleans, Fox. New Orleans is a 4-point home dog. They're getting 4 points. Detroit coming off a loss. New Orleans coming off a loss. By the way, I didn't mention it, but New Orleans and Atlanta in the NFL, that's a good rivalry.
It is. They're home. In times of past, that meant something. This ain't one of them times. Detroit had a letdown game against the Packers. Jordan Love just came on fire. I wouldn't even say it's a letdown game. Jordan Love just really played a great game. Like from the beginning, they just tried him from the beginning. Derek Carr is not going to give you that. He's not. I'm not convinced, man. Like they should have beat Atlanta. I don't like New Orleans. I think that whole division is trash. So I think Detroit have a bounce back game. I think Detroit will cover. Give me Detroit.
I'm in agreement. Detroit actually should have probably lost the last 2 weeks.
That's a fact.
The Bears
That's a
were better
fact.
than them for three and a
That's
half
a fact.
quarters. Yeah, I got Detroit. They kind of need to win, so I got Detroit winning and covering pretty easily. Actually, I think they're going to win by figures. Atlanta at the Jets. The Jets are a home dog. They're getting 2.5 points. Atlanta's very
So
inconsistent. But
this is
Jets have no offense.
no offense. It's hard to call this game, brother. It's hard because on one end, like you just said, the Atlanta Falcons are inconsistent. Okay, Ritter has spurts in the game when he looks okay. I'm not gonna say great, okay, and then at times he looks like he's trash. Okay, but then on the flip side, you flip to go to a different quarterback who is clearly not better than Zach Wilson, which is terrible when you're not better than Zach Wilson. So what are you going to do? You can run the ball. They're just bad, man. You put too much on your defense. Atlanta is inconsistent. I'm in the air with this one, bro, and I don't like this pick at all, but I'm going to just take the home dog. I'll take the Jets.
All right. We disagree. The Jets can't score.
Yeah.
They do not stick with their running game. They have a bad offensive line. Their two quarterbacks stink. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to make it back. I don't know if he's going to want to make it back. Yeah, you're right. Ritter is inconsistent. Sometimes he's pretty good, and sometimes he's pretty darn bad. But they got more offensive weapons. They can score a little bit. They can run. The Jets, because they're at home, might be in it in the first half defensively, but they're not going to score. They're not going to score. It might be like a 10-6 game at halftime, but eventually Atlanta's going to score a little bit. They're going to cover that 2.5. I think Atlanta's going to win like 20-9.
Now you don't think that that might have been fool's gold with the Jets because they did play Miami, which is clearly a better team than Atlanta, and you threw them out there to the Wolves against a good team, and here you got a team that's really not that good coming in. They're leading the division, but it's not like they're like a dominant team leading the division.
I'm not even saying Atlanta's good, but the Jets' offense is so bad that the defense can only do so much. They can, what are they supposed to score for you too? Atlanta can run the ball and they can pass it, even with a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're more balanced. They're going to be able to put up a little bit of points, and I don't think the Jets are going to hardly put up anything. I've seen this story before. I don't believe in the Jets at all. So, I'm going to take Atlanta, and they're going to cover the 2.5. All right, Arizona at Pittsburgh. I got to be honest, I flip-flopped on this game.
Yeah.
I originally picked, and I changed it. CBS, Pittsburgh at home is a 5.5-point favorite. What say you? You know what you think about it? I'll tell. So I originally had Arizona.
Yeah.
But I changed it to Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's at home. They got a new offensive coordinator. They had their best offensive game yards wise.
Yeah, I was actually going with Pittsburgh, bro. I can't with that defense. What I saw with Arizona, they don't have a defense, bro. Like, and I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is going to light you up because he's just not that type of quarterback, in my opinion. But the offensively they have shown balance. You know what I mean? And they've been running the ball more consistently since they switched and got rid of Matt Canada. And I think they're just going to get better and better. And then they're home. It's still hard out. Kyler Murray, I mean, he's one player. He's one player. But if you don't got a defensively, you're liable. And for y'all let the Rams run all over y'all, bro. No, I'm cool. Give me Pittsburgh. Is it 5.5?
5.5.
It's just the point spread is kind of scary for me with the 5.5.
That's why I originally picked Arizona.
Yeah, but I don't think Arizona is. Man, give me Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah, the weather's changing now.
Yeah,
Now
it's
we're
gonna be cold too.
December. So, these kind of teams that are used to playing in the muck and the elements going up against an Arizona team that plays in a dome, you gotta think
Yeah,
about that too. The
the
field's
fact.
not going to be as fast for Kyle Murray. All right, divisional game: Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee is getting 1 point. They are a 1 point dog. The
Mm,
game is on CBS.
I'm
I'll
not
tell you,
convinced. I like the Colts.
you like Colts?
I do. I know Tennessee's undefeated at home. Um, they don't use Derrick Henry. They haven't used Derrick Henry like they should be using him. You feel me? In the past, I would have easily said Tennessee because they gave you a healthy dose of Derrick Henry. They've been trying to give too much of Will Levis, and I don't think that he's like that. So for my money, give me the Colts. Because one thing about the Colts, they're gonna score. So give me the Colts.
I think the Colts took a big hit with Jonathan Taylor hurting I think it was his thumb, and he's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks.
Is he? But
So
Moss been running
yeah,
that ball more. Moss been actually be running more than Taylor has. They've been using
yeah,
Moss more.
he was up until like the last 2 weeks, and then Taylor kind of turned into Taylor again. But now they're going to have to go back to Moss. I think Tennessee. I'm going to ride Tennessee with this one, so we're going to see this one differently. Because I just the more you put on Minshew, the more he's liable to turn the ball over. And
That's a fact. That's a fact.
oh, this is a good one. Miami at Washington on Fox. Washington is a 9.5 point dog.
Give me the Commanders for the points.
Ooh. We see this differently. I think Miami is head and shoulders. Miami feasts on bad teams. It's the good teams they have trouble
Hell
with.
no, because the Raiders they beat the Raiders by 7. The Raiders are not a good team. They beat the Raiders by
But
7.
the Raiders were feeling themselves because they were playing pretty well under Antonio Pierce, and then reality hit.
Yeah.
So I think Washington with Rivera already having 1 foot out the door, and Miami's trying to win this division, which will be the first time in quite a while. I got Miami not only winning but covering that 9.5 point spread. I think Washington is trash at this point. Okay, the surprising team that turned it around, Denver, playing at Houston. CBS. Houston is a 3.5 point favorite.
I like Denver.
I like Denver too. They're hot.
They're hot, man. Defensively, they've been locked in. I'm not taking up for Stroud. He's a MVP candidate, definitely Rookie of the Year. But they're hot. Like Denver is like they're starting to buy into what Sean Payton does, and they're believing in them. So once you have a team that believes in you, and they're not making Russell Wilson is not too much on Russell Wilson to do anything. He's playing to his strengths, which is I don't need you to kill me with your arm. I just need you not to turn the ball over. You feel me? Make some plays, third down. Make sure you can stretch the field for us, and let the defense do what it's been doing. And Cortland Sutton is playing great football at this point. I like Denver. They're coming in on a high. And then you give me 3.5 with them too? Yeah, give me points.
Yeah, I'm 100%. The 3.5 secured it for me. I was leaning towards Denver anyway, but the hook, I'm not falling for it. So yeah, Denver for sure. Okay, the 405 game. Ooh, this is a good one. Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, a 5.5 point
I don't
home
care
favorite.
I don't care what coaching change you make, man. You know, that organization is bad. Normally when you make a coaching change though, the team actually comes out and plays better. I don't know if this is that case. Give me Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah, Tampa Bay 100%. Carolina is the worst team in the league. they're making a coaching change. They're going to have to start a different kind of offense. I'm not going to say entirely new, but they're going to have to make it a little different, or else what was the point of firing Frank Reich? Uh, I I feel bad for Bryce Young, to be honest,
I
man.
do
I
too,
really
man.
do.
I know you're
So
gonna play in
yeah,
the NFL and everything, but man, to be drafted to that team,
yeah. That guy, he has a great smile. You know what I mean? You want to see him succeed, so he has that smile. Just these press conferences after these games, man, they're depressing. They really are. So yeah, I'm in agreement. Tampa Bay, I think they covered a 5.5. 425, probably the best game of the week. San Francisco at
that's silly.
Philadelphia. It is an NFC title game rematch.
Man, oh man.
Right now, by the way, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about who was like the midseason MVP, and I think we both said it was Lamar Jackson. I've officially changed my vote
Jalen,
as right now,
Jalen
and
Hurts.
and I think Jalen Hurts is
Yeah,
MVP right now. There are
yeah.
times when this team is just kind of sputtering and losing at halftime to pretty good teams, but they find a way to win
They
it in the
do. 10 and
second
1.
half.
10 and 1. Um, I thought last year that Brock Purdy being hurt and you going with the third string quarterback was the reason why Philly went. And I think that right now San Fran is clicking all cylinders. It's going to be a dogfight in Philly. It's not an easy place to win. But if you're going to lose any type of game, you will probably lose to San Fran. So I like San Fran, and I'll take San Fran for the dub in this game.
I will also take San Francisco. Are you a little surprised though that Philadelphia is a 2.5 point underdog
I
at home?
am. I am. And that's the part where it's like, I'm not saying that, it's a landslide victory with San Fran because Philly is tough at home. Like they could come out here and they could definitely they could put points on the board. But I just think right now that San Fran is clicking. They're clicking, they're healthy. That defense is real, it's for real. And then Brock Purdy in our offense, I know they took a little stumble in the games when they went back to back to back and lost some games. But I suspect it's an NFL season. And Philly, yeah, 10 and 1, you do to lose one. So if you're gonna lose anyone, it probably be the San Fran. But I'm not saying that it's gonna be an easy game by far. You know what I mean? By far. But I like San Fran in this game though.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think San Fran wins, and I think they win by at least a field goal.
Yeah.
Philadelphia has been they've been right on the edge. They've been holding on, but they've been right on the edge for a few of these games. I remember against your boys Dallas, they
Yeah.
winning at halftime. I remember Kansas City
Commanders.
was winning at halftime by 10.
Yup.
This past week, Buffalo was winning at
The
halftime.
Commanders, when they came to Philly and played them, they was
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
They were up.
they were up. So I think this is the best team that Phillies will play up to this point, and I don't think if they fall behind this time. Now, the one thing that I will say is there's been a lot of chatter since that championship game back and forth, and these players might take it personal.
Mhm.
I don't understand. I got a question. Maybe you can explain this to me. And I've heard this by a bunch of different programs, a bunch of different people on the radio and on TV. Why do they keep saying that the only reason Philly won that game in the playoffs last year is because Purdy didn't play? Why do they keep saying that? Because they're like, oh, he was undefeated last year. He
I
didn't
get
lose
that
his
part.
first game till this year.
I,
Why are they not counting that game? He started that game.
he started a
He
game.
got knocked out in the first series.
Right.
Why are they not counting that game?
I think more. I know from my perspective, it was more like I'm not saying that they would have won or lost the game. I'm just saying that when you put the third string quarterback in there, was realistically it was a fourth string quarterback in there with no first snaps with the first string at all, and you throw him in that game, a championship game with that much pressure on the line. He's not going to be Tom Brady. They had to adjust the whole play call, everything. So I think in that type of situation, it was up to Philly not to lose the game. You know what I mean? Brock Purdy, I thought would have gave him better chances of winning the game, but it was not going to be a guarantee that San Fran was going to win the game, even with Brock Purdy in the game. You know what I mean? But I think the argument is the fact that with Brock Purdy, it's questionable because he has connection, he has time, and the offense was built. He has, he runs through the whole play call with the offensive coordinator. You know how they do when they prep before a game. You're with your number ones, you're going through your reads and everything, and it's just different.
No, I mean I get that. My point is that Brock Purdy started. He was healthy and he started.
Yeah, they knocked him out.
The Eagles knocked him out of the game.
Facts.
So shouldn't it count? Why is he getting passed? Because he got knocked out and he got injured, and then when they eventually had to put him back in the game, he couldn't throw the ball. They're like, we don't count that as a loss for Brock Purdy. Why is that not? If he got knocked out in the fourth quarter, would that count? Is it the fact that he got knocked out in the first drive?
That was I agree.
Quarter. Like I don't understand that. Like
I agree with you. They did their job.
They're not giving Philly the credit for him starting and them taking him out. That's what I don't get. I don't. All right. So, but with that being said, we both think San Francisco wins this game. All right. Cleveland at the Rams. This was the one game that I couldn't pick. So whatever you say, I'm going to pick the opposite.
I'm on the fence with it too.
The Rams at home are a 3.5 point favorite on Fox.
All right, so I was fighting this game because I don't believe in the quarterback situation in Cleveland. DTR got knocked out, so I don't know. Walker's going to. I know Joe Flacco is the number 2 quarterback right now, so I don't know if PJ Walker plays. I like Baltimore. I actually like the Cleveland. I'm not going to get caught up in that Rams victory with the Cardinals because the Cardinals are bad, like terrible. So I think right now people looking at that game and how they came back and dominated them, and then the running game got going. You're not running the ball against Cleveland like that, and then they could put pressure on Matt Stafford, which Cardinals was able to do. So, and then the Browns, I don't see them losing back-to-back games. You feel me? I think they're clearly a better team than the Rams. And now I know they're on the road for their second road trip, so that's a little difficult to do. But just give me the points with Cleveland. I like Cleveland.
Yeah, the points had me. I'm like, man, 3.5. I don't know. I think if Walker struggles in this game early, I think they're going to bench him and put in Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco. Yeah.
I think they're going to do that, and I don't think that's a winning formula at all. So I think the Rams are going to win. Do I think they're going to win by 3.5? I think when in doubt, the team that you think is going to win, as long as the number's not outrageous, you take them with the point. So, and the fact that you're picking Cleveland, I'm definitely going to pick the Rams. So we're different on that one. All right, the 8:20 game. NBC, Kansas City at Green Bay. Green Bay is a 6-point home underdog. How do you see it?
To Kansas City? Man, Green Bay been playing good football lately, man.
Home too.
And they're at home. And Kansas City's been playing Kansas City. No dropsies. Jordan Love is playing real good football. Give me Kansas City, though. It's hard to go against Kansas City, man. Give me Kansas City, bro.
You're such a tease, dude. You're such a tease.
Yeah. But you talk about Packers.
And you're like all on this team. Like, man, they're playing really good, man. I love it. He's really, and the coach too, man. They're doing good, and they're at home. Yeah, give me Kansas City.
Yeah.
Give me. You do that to me all the time. That's all hyped up.
You ain't gonna take the Packers in this situation, did you, man? Against the Chiefs? Nah, man.
I think Kansas City needs these games because
of
the Ravens.
They do.
You got to keep pace with the Ravens. So
you don't want to go through. You don't want the roll, but it's crazy because the Ravens, even if they got home field advantage, Yeah, they're great at home, but I still think Kansas City could come in there and beat them at home.
Oh, they've lost to a couple teams.
They have, because I
Uh,
think they'll get so hyped being home. Sometimes home could be not an advantage for you because you could, you'll come out too hyped and you don't come out disciplined,
you
and
don't come
then
out
your
focused.
game get away. You don't come out
You don't,
focused. You let the
you're not
crowd
focused. That could be an advantage to the road team
to the
because
road
they're not
team. Exactly.
all that.
We seen it that we seen that year. Remember when Tennessee came up there? That year Derrick Henry went crazy on
Oh
them,
yeah.
and Baltimore had clearly the better team that year. And what happened? Tennessee ran all the way, and that's the year Tennessee went to Kansas City and lost Kansas City. You know what I mean?
It's happened a few times. I remember the
Yep.
Colts. The
Yep. The
Colts
Colts. Yep.
with Peyton Manning going to Baltimore when they had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and the Ravens were favored to win at home,
Right.
and they lost.
And they lost.
They
That's
lost.
a fact. Well, only team I see that really I could say like is hard. If they got the home field advantage all the way out, it's gonna be hard to beat them. San Fran, it's gonna be hard to beat them. And
Mhm.
Philly.
And
And
Philly.
Philly. And Philly. Philly, one of them teams is their home field advantage, really a home field advantage because
Mhm.
it's something about Philly, man. They get up in Philly. Like they could be down and somehow, some way, them Philly fanatics go crazy. And next thing you know, you're looking at Philly by a landslide.
Mhm.
Like it gets crazy out there, man. For real.
You ain't gotta tell me I've been there. I went to a game at the vet. At the vet.
Oh, the vet. Oh yeah, man. Them
Oh,
days.
yikes.
That's a hell of a field. That's
So
a terrible field.
we're in agreement. So I'm also picking Kansas City. All right, one last game Monday night. Cincinnati, Joe Burrowless versus Jacksonville. At Jacksonville, game is on ABC and ESPN. Jacksonville is a 8.5-point favorite over Cincinnati. Me personally,
Wow.
I think they easily cover that. I'm surprised it's even that low.
Yeah.
I got Jack winning in a blowout.
I'm not. I can't. I don't believe in Jake Browner. Yeah, give me Jacksonville home. Unfortunately, man, Cincinnati season went with Joe Burrow.
So we only disagree on.
The disagreements was on the games we disagreed on, man. Them on my end, them games are suspect, man. Like the Commanders, I don't really like them. I know that the Miami's gonna win. I just
Well,
think
you picked the Jets.
I picked the bum Jets.
You picked the
Commanders.
You picked the Colts.
I picked the Colts. I like the Colts pick.
You picked the Commanders. That's 3. You picked Cleveland.
I picked Cleveland.
That's 4. So we differ on 4. It's not a lot.
Hey man, I'm saying, man, I can't look. Every time I try to like purposely disagree with you, my record looks like trash.
So what you need to do is all the other ones that we agreed on, those are the games you look at to put money on.
Yeah.
Because we only disagreed on 4, so cancel them out.
Yeah.
Cancel them out. And the ones that we agreed on all the other ones, those are the ones you're like, all right, let me pick 6.
Yeah, that was the ones I'm gonna go
on.
Yep, those are the ones I'm gonna go in because and the ones that we disagree with, I actually like your pick. So when I go play my bet, I normally go with the ones that you kind of pick because I think about your logic behind them, and I say, okay, he thought this one out. You know what I mean? Sometimes mine is on the spot thinking about it, but when I see that you actually thought about it and your analysis makes a lot of sense, then I'll be like, you know what, he got a great point there. Like Atlanta and the Jets, like you said, the offense, they don't have an offense. So as great as their defense is going to be, you still got to put points on the board unless you go and stop Atlanta from scoring, which is a field goal game.
Mm-hmm.
Be like Chicago against Minnesota. Your defense plays well, kick a bunch of field goals. Like you said, I don't see that happening with Atlanta. As bad as Ritter is, he still got more weapons, and he can actually get the weapons going.
Mm-hmm.
And that quarterback situation in the Jets, man, they pulling straws right now, man. They just hoping somebody can get her throw football. You know what I mean? It is terrible, man. And in there, Nathaniel Hackett's a terrible OC. So
Terrible, but they can't fire him because he's part of the reason why Aaron Rodgers is.
I know he's part of the Aaron Rodgers packet, you know, because he's the Aaron Rodgers whisperer.
Whatever.
Man. Whatever, man. They deserve what they get, man. For real. You know, that's why you don't come. That's why you don't have what's that series when they do the with the pregame. You know, when they do the training camp stuff on HBO. Is it HBO?
Oh, Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks. Wasn't it just on Hard Knocks?
They were.
Damn.
But now they got an in-season one on HBO, and it's the Dolphins. They've done that for a couple years now. They have the one leading up to the season, the Hard Knocks, and got a mid-season one, and it's the Dolphins right now. I haven't watched 1 second of it.
Yeah, me either, man.
I have no interest.
No
interest.
Me either.
No.
Well,
they're not going to show me anything that's going to give me any kind of insight. No. And I don't care enough about any of those players or coaches personally. It's business. As far as I'm concerned, it's business. So, all right. Well, that is our show. I want to thank all the viewers and listeners who tuned in to the What's Good with Gil and Larry podcast. Hopefully, we are back again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. I don't see why not. And eventually, we're going to have a special in a couple weeks because Christmas is coming, and we got to do our Christmas podcast. So that's coming. We'll give you a heads up on that. So for everybody who tuned in, bear down, Mike, Larry, Loper, Gil, Irizarry. We'll see you next time. Until then, deuces.
Deuces. My man.
My man.